We keep you updated as we go. Remember, 5:30, Business Excellence. Today we are going to be having the Minister of Industry and Commerce. And now we take a look at the stories that are making the news in the world of business. These are the main market moves that have happened today. Japan's Topix index gained 0.4%. Honda jumped following the company's higher profit forecast. Hong Kong's Hang Seng index was 0.2% higher, while the Shanghai Composite Index swung between gains and losses. The Japanese yen fell 0.4%. The Stocks Europe 600 index declined 0.1% as of 12 midday today. The MSCI All Country World Index dipped less than 0.5%. Currencies, the Bloomberg Dollar Spot Index gained 0.1%. The Euro advanced 0.2%. The British Pound gained 0.2%, the strongest in more than 10 months on a closing basis. In bonds, the yield on 10-year treasuries gained 2 basis points to 2.27%. Britain's 10-year yields on bonds advanced 2 basis points to 1.238%, the highest in a week. In commodities, West Texas Intermediate crude decreased 0.8% to $48.79 a barrel. Gold fell 0.2% to $1,266.43 an ounce, the largest fall in a week. Copper declined 0.2% to $2.87 a pound. And those are the stories that have happened in the main market moves. Right now, we take a look at another story that's coming in from Zimbabwe. Zimplats Impala Platinum's unit in Zimbabwe announced that revenue for the quarter end to June 2017 increased by 9% to $143.59 million compared to the $131.26 million in the prior quarter. In its quarterly update, Zimplats said revenue growth was mainly due to the 16% increase in 4E metal sales volumes. The growth, however, partly offset by a general decrease in metal prices, according to Zimplats. Platinum prices for the quarter were down 4% to $941 against $981 in the quarter to March. Profit from the operations after royalties decreased by 28% to $30.3 million from $42.2 million reported in the previous quarter. The platinum miner saw tons mined increasing by 10% to 1.86 million tons from the previous quarter's 1.68 million tons due to an extra 9 operating days in the quarter. That does it for business news this evening, and we'll do this again tomorrow right here on Drive 263. But right now, we take a short ad break, and when we come back, we give you more music than business excellence.
As moms, we can now relax with our families at home. Mobile is sunlight, there's money. Fortune is such a cool thing. Keep her in like yes, I know. I get them for a genie. I phone Amanzi, Amane. Ocean says in the genie. I'm 760, Amanda, Amane.
The new and improved sunlight with smartphone technology. You save on rinsing water and effort.
Join our vibrant Pan-African international community of over 31 countries this August by enrolling with Africa University.
Yes, you heard right. Africa happens at Africa University every day.
Come and be part of a world-class university where research, innovation, and technology are key outcomes of everyday student engagement.
Our student staff ratio guarantees you quality learning experience with an exciting bilingual French or Portuguese policy that will give you the edge on the global market.
Our student exchange programs are a great opportunity for networking and international exposure.
Visit our website at africau.edu for more information and enroll with us.
Africa University, investing in Africa's future.
Power FM.
On Saturday, 12 August, Promo Events and Power FM Zimbabwe bring you the biggest meat festival in Zimbabwe ever. It's the Gango Festival at Belgravia Sports Club. Good music, good meat for the whole family, featuring artists Takura, XQ, Nati O, Wanai, Salman Tukudzi, Beu and the Mozi Tribe, and Andy Murizo, plus Power FM DJs, Merciless and Tower Stock, plus Chip Selector, Elder Squilla. Admission $5, $10, $15, and VVIP $25. Free meat upon entry. The Gango Festival, a lifetime event for all meat lovers, is brought to you by Promo Events and of course Zimbabwe's #1 radio station, Power FM.
No one keeps the competition on its toes as much as
Power FM. You are now rocking with the best. Best. 523. Power FM Zimbabwe.
No. Nobody ugly. Nobody ugly. Baby, rock one God you. Nobody ugly. Baby, rock one God you. If you dey use filter for Instagram, you find or you don't find no idea matcha. But for reality, I see you girl, you bother. Now we dey deceive you. Chine nyo mama imani maka. Ibezi de tebe mono tebe se na chaka. Biko idi kama di easy enwe kadaka. One. Now we dey deceive you. As you there for Twitter, your name for Insta, sexy for delicious twister. Why you do the lie? When nothing there to the shake you, where the waste you. As you there for Twitter, your name for Insta, sexy for delicious twister. Why you do the shy? When you know say you find you, don't be like nobody ugly. Okwe go na balin madu baby. You go for window shopping, take a selfie, you post them up, they tag your maga. You did it for me, go when you did it, Baja. Now we did deceive you. You see you are gonna check up. You did big man show check up. Even for toilet mirror check up. Snapchatting video check up. Oh no. Now waiting be this yo. Now this is yo. As you there for Twitter, your name for Insta, sexy for delicious twister. Why you do the lie? When nothing there to the shake you, where the waste you. As you there for Twitter, your name for Insta, sexy for delicious twister. Why you do the shy? When you know say you find don't be like nobody ugly. Okwe go na balin madu baby. Rock one God you. Nobody ugly. Okwe go na balin madu baby. Rock one God you. Rock one God.
the song called Nobody Ugly. Very, very big tune. Touches a lot of people though, because there's nobody that is ever considered ugly. Everybody is beautiful. And don't put pressure on yourself that, because I'm not like girl A, so I have to do certain things to myself so that I look like girl A. Girl A, I'm going to put pressure to try and maintain that standard. So just be you. There can only ever be one you. Welcome to Business Excellence right here on Drive 263. We do this every Monday and Wednesday. And we get to talk to many people that are excelling in the world of business as well as in other fields, in their respective fields. And today we are talking to the Honorable Minister, Mr. Mike Bingima. He is right here with us on Drive 263 Business Excellence. He opened the CZI conference today, and so we got many questions for you. I hope you're ready, Honorable. Are you ready for us?
No problem.
We're going to shoot away.
Go ahead.
Good evening, Honorable, and thank you very much for coming through to Power FM Zimbabwe. So, Business Excellence, excelling business, CZI, it's all to do with business. How is this conference important to the growth of the Zimbabwean economy?
I think the importance is really driven by the theme that they've chosen for this year's Congress. It's all to do with competitiveness, and it's an acceptance that if we need to grow as an industry, as an economy, we need to trade not just domestically, but we also need to grow our exports. But for you to be able to grow these exports, for you to gain market share in foreign markets, in regional markets, you have to produce goods of an international standard, both in terms of quality as well in terms of price, because there's competition out there. You are not the only one producing, so you have to fight out there, but you can fight if you are producing goods of superior quality and of reasonable price. Now, for you to do so, there are a number of things that you have to do as an organization. There are things that we also have to do as a government in really to facilitate production, to give some element of support to our local producers, as we have done in terms of coming up with statutory instrument 64 of 2016. But above that, the companies themselves have also to look at issues of efficiencies. They have to look at their costs. They have to look at making sure that their cost of production are down. So this theme is more of how can companies in Zimbabwe be competitive. And I think as government, you find that some few weeks ago, I announced the board that is going to steer the National Competitiveness Commission. And that in itself is an indication or a demonstration by government that competitiveness is a success factor. And therefore government is putting together an entity which will just focus on helping Zimbabwean companies to be competitive.
How competitive is the Zimbabwean industry in terms of growth when you compare it with other countries, especially in Southern Africa?
Yes, you are very right. In 2014, we made a survey of our neighboring partners. We are talking of South Africa, Zambia, Botswana, Mozambique, Angola. And we looked at what we referred to as cost drivers, the kind of things that impact on our costs, which will eventually impact on our pricing. So we made comparison and found that Zimbabwe is not competitive. We have a high cost of production structure. And that's an issue we must address. We must say to ourselves, what is that goes into production of fertilizer, for example? And what does it cost us? How does it cost South Africa, Zambia, and make comparisons? So when we made those comparisons, we found that our cost of productions were high. And that is really the reason which led to a recommendation to government to say, look, let's not rely on a one-off exercise. Let's have an entity that actually monitors our costs and our prices on a daily basis and compare that with those obtained in countries around us. Because it's only when we have that information, then we can zero in and say, look, this is an area where we have problems. What can we do to arrest that whole issue so that we become competitive? So it's important that we know what others are doing. We compare the costs and the prices that we obtain in our neighboring countries. And this National Competitiveness Commission is actually going to be monitoring that on a regular basis and producing reports and recommendations to Cabinet to take certain decisions.
Honorable Minister, in your opening remarks, you spoke of the industrial development, of course, the national trade policy and the export strategy. How is this going to help business?
Well, in formulating these policies and strategies, we consult the private sector. We have been consulting them very widely. By the way, we already have these policies, but they are coming at the end of their time. So we are reviewing. So what we do is now we engage the private sector and say, look, let's look at what has been happening from the time we promulgated these policies. There have been so many events. Certain things have taken place in the environment, both our local environment and outside. How do these now impact on where we want to go? We want to grow our economy. We want our producers to produce high quality goods. We want to ensure that we value aid and beneficiate, and we want to grow our exports, and all these things that we want to do. How best can we do it in the light of events that have taken place over a period? And then we can then say we can then focus on what needs to be done now. So it's not just a government document. It's a document that takes into cognizance the interests and the contributions from the various stakeholders, particularly the private sector. And why I single out the private sector is that it is now becoming imperative, both at SADC level, at COMESA level, and even at African Union level, that the focus now is that it's not government that must run with these policies. It's the private sector that takes the lead. Because when you grow the economy, it's not government that grows an economy. Government only facilitates and comes out with a conducive environment. It's the private sector. And when we say to private sector, we are talking of even an SME, right from this to big corporates. These are that's the private sector, and they are responsible for growing the economy. So if we want our economy in Zimbabwe to grow, we must empower the private sector. We must support the private sector.
Speaking of the private sector, you say you want to empower, and they're the ones who can really grow the economy.
Sure.
When it comes to capital, a lot of these SMEs complain that the banks are charging too much to borrow money so that I can capitalize, so I can produce my products and goods here in Zimbabwe, because the talent is there. There are people who know how to do things better than other nations. And I think I'm a big fan of the statutory instrument 64, because look at the products that we have on the shelf now. These are products that have been around, but we've been ignoring them because we're preferring South African products, but those are not healthy. So how do I get to that point whereby I can produce that product which is better than the one in South Africa?
You are very right. You were even very right from the outset, where you were saying one of our constraints has been lack of funding. But it's not just lack of funding, but it's also lack of reasonably priced funding. Because even if you have got funding now, if you go to banks, you might find that the funding is very short term.
And it's expensive.
It's forfeited and very expensive.
Yes.
So what you really want is long-term money and reasonably priced. But this has come as a result of some of the challenges that we've passed in the past, that we have faced in the past. And where we are going to now is really more of trying to make funds available for those companies that have potential to grow. What we have done is to say, those companies that have benefited from SI 64, they've benefited in terms of where we have protected them from the competition. In other words, we are not allowing those cheap imports to come. But that alone doesn't help, because when next time we open up, you will still be found still operating on with old equipment, old technology. So what we have done is to put together a facility through the Reserve Bank of Zimbabwe, where we are saying those companies that have benefited from SI 64, please approach the Reserve Bank and get funding for retooling and re-equipping. Because yes, you have had the support, you have had some protection, but you need to get equipment, modern equipment, modern technology, for you to be able now to achieve the efficiencies, to achieve the quality. So the funding is there for those companies that have benefited from SI 64. The Reserve Bank has the responsibility to source that funding. It might be funding from its own sources, but also funding from other financial institutions.
Who qualifies for that funding?
As I said, companies that have benefited from SI 64.
Okay.
We are making it just a deliberate policy, because we are saying, what is the purpose of coming out with SI 64 when 3 years' time, when we remove it, the person is still small, the person is still weak? What we want is to, can you get stronger during the time that you are getting this support from SI 64? So that when the time comes, because mind you, you cannot be protected against competition forever. Competition is there to stay. You must be able to face the wind.
And it's healthy too.
That's the name of the game. But what we are doing at the moment is that, you know, there's been some criticism to say SI 64 kills competition. No, it kills competition as far as the outside is concerned. But we are also encouraging local competition. In other words, we encourage more players to come. And also what we have also realized is that by stopping some of the exports that we're getting from outside, those companies that were producing those products have actually come to Zimbabwe and built up factories. And an example is the Willerton Group in Mutare. They used to export cooking oil to Zimbabwe because of the measures, that we have taken. They've now said, look, we still need to save the Zimbabwean market, so the only thing is to go into Zimbabwe and set up a factory, and we'll be commissioning the plant very soon in Mutare. But by so doing, they've come to supply that market, but it has also created employment for our people, and also employment not for those people who are directly employed by Willerton, but for those who supply the raw materials to Willerton. So the point is that we cannot protect forever, we cannot support forever, but we want these companies that have been supported also to up their game and be able to improve in terms of their technology and their equipment, and also to make sure that they're also certified by the Standard Association of Zimbabwe, because by so doing they can be able to compete at a regional and international level. At the moment, we are talking not just of the market in Zimbabwe. We are talking of the SADC market, which is bigger. We are talking of the COMESA market, which is even bigger. And there's nothing to stop someone from even entering the African market. So we have all these trade protocols, all these regional integration meetings that we're having. It's really to support our local producers so that they have a bigger market to serve. But what it means is that you have to play the game with others, and who are not sitting idle, who are also improving themselves. So we have to gallop, because we can't walk, because others have been running while we were crawling. So we have to gallop and be able to catch up with everybody else.
Business Excellence right here on Power FM. We are broadcasting to you live from Elephant Hills in Victoria Falls, and today we are speaking to Honorable Minister Mike Bima, who is the Minister of Industry and Commerce. So, Honorable Minister, during this conference, the CZI Congress that is currently going on here in Victoria Falls, we also have delegation that is coming in from India, from the Turkish delegation. What are the industrial growth prospects for Zimbabwe?
In the past, we have made visits to Turkey, and we were very much impressed by their level of development in terms of manufacturing. Particularly in Turkey, they have a very highly developed textile industry. We have been going to conferences and meetings in India, and we have been in touch with the Chamber of Industries of India. But we are happy that this time around they've decided to come and meet the private sector. You see, there's been a lot of negative publicity about Zimbabwe, and the only way to be able to market yourself is to invite people to come and see for themselves, so that you don't rely on what you hear on the media, but you come for yourself
and see what's on the
you
ground.
See, you meet people, you meet other business people, you talk to them about government policies, you talk about a lot of issues. So it's easier, it's better for people to come and see things for themselves. And therefore, I would like to thank the CZI as well as the various embassies for making it happen, because from even my short meeting with the delegation from India, they are very much impressed with the way we organized this meeting. And I was even surprised when they said they were equally surprised with the way people asked questions, where they asked whatever they wanted, even questions with political undertones, and that as government we were entertaining those questions, and we that interaction. Sometimes we take this for granted. It's only when other people tell us that, look, they were impressed, and we were not. We were very much surprised. But this is the beauty of it, is that engagement is very important, and I think there are huge opportunities for our industrialized to go into joint ventures with industrialists in Turkey and in India, because they are already advanced. They've got in terms of technology, and also they have linkages with also financial institutions. So you might find by partnering with an Indian or Turkish industrialist, you can then overcome the problem of funding, but you can also overcome the problem of technology and equipment. So hence government came up with a legislation to cater for joint ventures, so that it gives confidence to an external investor to make sure that your investment is protected.
How is the appreciation of the Turkish delegation in terms of the Zimbabwean textile industry?
They know that, going into literature, they know that Zimbabwe used to have a very highly developed textile industry, which has gone down over the years. So they are very much aware of the potential. And they know that at the moment there's very little to talk about, and that's why they are very much interested.
So are we likely to have
say, let's see how we can resuscitate that.
Are we likely to have the resuscitation of the textile industry through the Turkish delegation?
Well, even without the Turkish delegation, the issue, as you are aware, is that government in the past 2 years has actually been funding cotton growing. And we are actually anticipating a bumper harvest from cotton. Now, once you have cotton, you can't end there. You need to value add and beneficiate. So what you do, you need spinning, you need weaving, you need garment making, and that is an area of huge potential for our industrialists from Turkey and from anywhere else for that matter, that they come in to fill in the entire value chain, what we call from cotton to clothing as a subsector. And we have requested to the relevant ministry that we declare the cotton to clothing sector as a special economic zone. And what it means is that we are now in the process of coming up with incentives that will just target those who want to value add our cotton, so that our cotton end up being a garment. And that's an area that I think we should utilize, because there's so much of land that can produce good quality cotton, areas like Gokwe and places like that. But what we need are those spinning and weaving, and which are not just located in big town, but which are also located near where the crop comes from. So why can't we have these? We want these ginneries, these spinners in areas like Kwekwe, Kadoma, closer to where the crop is coming, and even Gokwe. Why can't you have a ginning and weaving spinning factory in Gokwe itself? And because that's where the crop is. Just like having a diamond cutting and polishing company in Mutare, so that it's closer to where the product comes from.
All right, so we are talking to Honorable Minister Mike Bima, and he opened the conference today at the Elephant Hills Hotel in the resort town of Victoria Falls. So in your speech, you spoke about Statutory Instrument 64 and said those companies that are making use of the statutory instrument, you said SAZ should ISO certify these companies. Please, can you explain further on that one?
Yes, you are very right. The starting point is really that when we came up with SI 64, we didn't just want to say, well, there's the policy, things will work out.
Yes.
What we did, we then established an evaluation and monitoring committee, which we tasked to go and visit companies and assess the impact of SI 64. Is it working? Is it not working? What could be improved, etc., etc. So this committee produced its first report on the companies that it had visited. I still have to get the report, but when one of the members of that committee briefed me, indicated to me that what they found out is that some of the companies that are covered by SI 64, most of them don't have their products certified by SARS. Now, this is worrying, because we are saying we would want these companies, by coming up with SI 64, is to give them room to become competitive. But how do you show the world that you produce a good product? You can't just tell people that my product is of high quality. This must be somebody who has got the authority to say, look, yes, this product has been tested and it meets the requirements, and therefore you need a certification. And that's what SARS is there for. And therefore it's a revelation that has come up as a result of that assessment. And I'll be meeting with the director of SARS just for us to say, look, how do we make sure that these companies, and other companies for that matter, really take the issue of certification seriously, and then probably come up with some milestones in terms of time, in terms of targets, and of course accompanied by training. So it's an area that is very, very important, because we can boast ourselves that we have supported our local industry. They now no longer have cheap products, but what are we doing to ensure that they produce the right quality? And that also feeds into this whole debate of competitiveness, because quality is an integral component of competitiveness, and we would want to ensure that our companies make sure that they certify. But it's something that we've just discovered, and therefore we need to strategize upon it, and it requires more than just the ministry. We need to get your CZI, your ZNCC, your SARS as well, to come together and say, how best can we move forward?
All right, so we're running out of time right now. Minister, there's so much to talk about. I think we needed just more than 30 minutes to discuss the statutory instrument. It has been a big topic of discussion here within Zimbabwe, and as well as in the international community. Well, congratulations to you on coming up with a policy like that, and we hope that it continues to grow our industry, because that is what we look at, that Zimbabwe needs to become what it was before, especially in terms of producing our own products that are very competitive even outside Zimbabwe.
Thank you very much.
Well, thank you very much, Honorable Minister, for coming through to Power FM Zimbabwe. Thank you so
you.
much for business excellence. We've been talking to Honorable Minister Mike Bima, who is the Minister of Industry and Commerce. He officially opened the CZI Congress that is running from the 2nd of August to the 4th of August here in Victoria Falls. And as Power FM Zimbabwe, we are the official media partner, and we're still broadcasting from Victoria Falls until the end of the Congress. Thank you very much once again, Honorable Minister, for coming through to Power FM.
Thank you very much. We'll see you later.
Thank you.
Good.
All right, so my name is Chamvari. We've been here with you since 3 o'clock this afternoon. We'll be back again tomorrow. That is after doing some more activities. Tomorrow you said we're going to the crocodile place, right?
Yep.
Do you want to take the flight of the angels? Are you brave enough for that?
I was actually thinking about the flight of the angels, but one thing that I would want is to do elephant riding.
Really?
Yeah, I would want
after
to
seeing that elephant on the road the other day, I'm not so sure I want to do that.
I really want to give it a try and find out.
Hehehe